What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 70 of the RUDIS Wrestling Podcast. Matt, what's going on in Ohio?
Just the calm before the storm, just getting everything prepped for Fargo, loading up the trucks.
So you're announcing that you're going to Fargo
We
this
are
year?
going to Fargo. We will be set up across the street again in the Applebee's parking lot. For those of you who were out in Fargo last year, Applebee's is located directly across the street from the Fargodome. So we will be set up this Saturday through next Friday, I believe. So the crew's jumping in a truck, heading out to Fargo here tomorrow, and we will be ready to roll on Saturday. So should be exciting.
So tomorrow's Wednesday. Man, it's a long trip to Fargo from Ohio, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Probably what, 15 hours, 14 hours?
Yeah, at least. I mean, it's a haul. So
yeah.
But you were like the James Brown of wrestling. You're like the busiest man in wrestling.
Matt, I was gonna say, I think you're dating yourself because I'm not sure what that means.
I know. Well, James Brown. You know who James Brown is, right? Living in America, the singer. He was called He was called the hardest working guy in show business. But based upon your schedule the last week, you're out doing a fight. You're doing wrestling camp this week, and you're heading.
We did our youth camp this
morning.
And
then you're heading out to Fargo in a couple days, right?
Well, I got RTC.
RTC.
So I'm fitting this podcast right in the middle perfectly. Busy. I like to be busy. Fargo is, Matt, I was kind of sad because I'm sure we'll talk about my fight in a second. It didn't go the way I wanted to, but I kind of stayed away from Fargo prep this year. We have a bunch of other really good coaches, but obviously I was preparing for my fight. And so, it was really, really unfortunate that I didn't get to help prepare the guys. I was upset about that, but we have a really good AWA specifically has a really good crew. So I am very, very excited to see how we do starting this Saturday.
So how many kids from the club are going to be out in Fargo competing?
We have our record this year. So we have 48 kids just in men's and women's freestyle.
How many teams? Competing. How many participants on the Wisconsin team? You got to have at least half of them.
As far as I think as far as freestyle is concerned, we have more than half.
Okay. Wow, that's.
So I don't think we have more than half. I mean, Greco we only have, I think 10-ish. Okay. But our previous high we've ever taken to Fargo was 30, so we made a big jump this year.
How many women? Yeah. How many women? How many cadets? How many juniors?
We only have one. I don't know those. Okay. We only have one female, Sophia. We have a few younger girls, but only one older girl.
Okay.
And then I don't know the breakdown between cadets and juniors, but like I said, we should hopefully have a handful of guys competing to win it. We have Parker that took third last year. We have Keegan who took first last year. They're both competing again. They both took second at the EW Juniors, so they should obviously. I don't know if they're favorites, but if not their favorites, they're very close.
Okay, now was Keegan AWA's first Fargo champ?
Nope. That goes to. Well, actually, we had Bo Bresky and we had Jake Roshka, and then if you want to count the New York version, we also had Brian Real Budo.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we had we're lucky enough to have a few. And hopefully it'll start raining.
Yeah, that'd be awesome
on us anytime now. So yeah, I guess Matt, I know you want to talk about my loss. I think it's important to address it, although I don't want to dwell on it. Obviously, man, honestly, I feel like I went on Ariel Helwani's show yesterday. That interview. You know what? I didn't prep for it because I wanted it to be real. I always can't stand when people have like a really coach speak type interview.
They got their canned sound bites, right?
Yeah. So even most time when I go into interviews, I think of a handful of things that I probably want to discuss, even though you never know what the other person's gonna say, so maybe don't have it plotted out. But this one, my wife even asked me, "What are you gonna say?" I said, "I don't know. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna see what comes out of it, and that's gonna be that." And so, yeah. I mean,
really,
I felt like I said my piece. I felt like it went well.
Yeah, for me, Ben. I mean, obviously, we know what happened on Saturday night. That's been talked ad nauseum. But for me, what really resonated for me, and we're talking about wrestling here. This is a wrestling podcast, and so many coaches, so many athletes, so many parents talk about how do you handle victory and defeat, because handling victory a certain way is takes a certain responsibility, and so does handling defeat. And, it's easy to talk about these things, but the one thing that resonated with me is like, hey, you stood up and you took it like you should. I mean, adversity is part of life, right? And that's the one thing that
Yeah,
that I took.
absolutely.
I mean, most guys, after an outcome like this, they run for cover, and they don't resurface for another 6 months, until there's been, hundreds of other storylines out there to, kind of forget what happened over the outcome of your fight. But, the way that you stood up and took it, I mean, it's a good, and you don't even, I mean, you could talk about how you handled it, but it's more you're walking the walk, and I think that's impressive. I think that's an example to
Well, I appreciate that.
parents, to coaches, and specifically for athletes that are going. This is part of life. This is you choose to engage in these things. Outcomes like this will happen. Everybody's gone through it, and so how you handle it, and I think it was refreshing because it mirrored everything that you do every Monday morning on your Mental Mondays, and it resonated with everything that you've been talking about for the last 6-8 months when you've been doing the Mental Mondays.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the questions Errol asked me is, when was the last time I took a real loss? Meaning, something I was actually seriously training and preparing for. And the last time of that was 2008 for the Olympics, which obviously was a devastating one for me, and probably the most devastating because I knew there was a good chance I would never get another opportunity, and I didn't get another opportunity. And with something like this, fighting's a crazy game, so you can just turn around and fight again. And hey, if you have a good fight and you look good, then you may be fighting again for a highly ranked spot or a title or something pretty quickly. So yeah, super disappointing. But also I didn't really get the show too much. I mean, I set a record for fastest time getting knocked out, which is definitely not a good thing. But yeah, not for now. And for me, it's time to move on. Like I said, I got Fargo. I taught a camp this morning. I'm doing RTC tonight. Tomorrow, I'm doing some stuff around the house. And then Thursday morning early, we're headed to Fargo camp. And then Fargo Wrestling starts on Saturday. So we are busy, busy, busy. Fargo is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. It's honestly, Matt, I know it's not the best tournament anymore in the country every year for high school kids, but historically in my era, in your era, it probably was the best one. And so it still kind of has a lot of nostalgia for me. It's still probably, I would say, top 5 high school level tournament for kids to compete in as far as difficulties wise. And so it's always an awesome time out there. And then the other thing is just seeing old friends. I know every we have a Missouri alumni reunion, and we probably have 15 to 20 guys coaching or recruiting or something for everyone.
Yeah. Sorry.
Did you wrestle in Fargo, or are you too old for Fargo?
Oh, come on, man. What do you think? I predated Fargo Junior Nationals?
I don't know what year Fargo. Well, okay, I know you didn't predate Fargo, but what year did it start in Fargo? I don't even know.
In Fargo. I never competed in Fargo, so you are correct. I
were correct.
Oh. Yeah, when I was in cadets and juniors, it was in Iowa, still at the Unidome. But yeah, I think when you and I were growing up and coming through cadets and juniors, that was the premier tournament. We didn't have the Super 32. We didn't have
Where did you wrestle at? Because there was Cedar Falls, and there was Waterloo, and there was, where else was it?
Okay, so cadets. When I wrestled in cadets, that was in Missouri, Southwest Missouri State, and then I wrestled in Junior Nationals at the Unidome in Iowa. At what is it? Cedar Rapids, Cedar Falls. I always get them confused.
Cedar Falls. Yep, Cedar Falls.
So, but yeah, I mean, coming through that time,
nice.
I mean that was the show. I mean, that's all there was. You didn't have these year-round, high-level national competitions like you do now, not only in freestyle but in folk style as well. But I can't. I looked at the stats a while ago, and I can't pull them off the top of my head. But Fargo is still, if you win Fargo, historically, even in the last couple of years, it's still, like you said, the top 5, or maybe if you win it, most of those guys that win Fargo still go on and have really high level success at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the reasons I would say that's not one of the top ones, is just because of, like a Super 32, obviously all four grades, whereas Fargo is split up between the cadets and junior age division. UWW cadets, even that spans a 3-year age gap. And so that's even a little wider. And then the other part to that I think is, I guess I would say unfortunate, is that the seniors in the junior division, generally speaking, for whatever reason right now, most colleges have their athletes going to come to school early, and so a lot of them are not competing at Fargo. I don't know if you noticed that
No,
trend
I mean
also.
that's something that we employed, during my college coaching career. More.
Why do you do that again? Is it just to get kids ahead of the curve on
Yeah,
grades, or
I
what?
think there's a a bunch of things on the checklist that really help the kids acclimate to the college scene much more quickly.
Okay.
And I think coming in the summer, I think what it was, I think 6 or 8 years ago, the NCAA introduced this. It was called the Summer Bridge program, which actually allowed you to bring in your athletes for the summer, and you could pay for their summer school. And
Really?
it was for scholars.
Well, yeah, so you can pay for kids' summer
Yeah, and
school. I didn't know that was a new thing. I thought that was
well,
historical.
the unique nature of the Summer Bridge was at that time. Now they've modified it since then, and I don't think it's actually called the Summer Bridge program, but at the time, it
Okay.
actually allowed you to pay for your walk-on athletes too. So
Ooh, you know what? I think they might still do that,
yeah,
Matt.
I think where I was up in Binghamton the last several years, we had something like that, but we didn't go through the NCAA. But I think what it did, it
Okay.
afforded you to pay for all your kids' classes, number one, so they can get in, they can take a partial credit load. They take about 2 or 3 classes. So you kind
Yep.
of get the experience of
Yep.
what it's like to navigate the academic landscape of the college life without the pressure of 50,000 people on campus or 20,000 people on campus.
Sure.
It's just
Yeah.
basically it's just the summer school kids. So not only does it afford them the opportunity to get acclimated of what the pressures of the rigors of the academic of the college classroom would be, and then you could also get them into the room and do different things and start that learning curve. Because everybody's got to go through a learning curve.
Because well, I mean, not only that, but now you're seeing so many fewer people
Right.
redshirt. So when they can get those guys in the summer, that 3 months, man, that 3 months that goes a long ways. It really, 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 really does go so far to getting kids ready. And the other thing that I see, Matt, and I don't know if you were thinking this way, but for me, it appears as though getting a kid 6 credits in the summer, it may give them a little bit of cushion for when if they have academic struggles their freshman year, if they need to drop a class or if they're failing a class, to stay eligible. It gives them that
Yeah, so
cushion.
you do have a little bit of a buffer that is an advantage coming in early. I mean, you've got to have. I don't want to get in all the degree audits and the breakdown of progress towards the degree
Yeah,
and all that
give us
stuff.
the cliff notes, because we don't want all the super
Yeah, I mean, it
detailed
just
stuff.
allows you a little bit of a buffer, like you said. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. Like because most kids that first year they will run into a class or two that's going to give them trouble. And you want to schedule them in more credit hours to give them a buffer. But if they run in, some coaches say, hey, the minimum amount of credits you got to take is 12 credit hours. Well, if a kid gets stuck in one class, it's good that you at least have a fallback class from the summer that you can rely on.
Yes.
So
Yep.
there's a lot of benefits. But I'm like you. I'm a huge advocate for freestyle wrestling. I push it. I advocate for it. And so whenever I had an incoming class come in, I would always tell them, I'm like, hey, if it's your goal to win Fargo, go win Fargo, because at least I know you're training
Yeah.
for something, competing for something. And and I think a lot of college coaches, what they try and avoid is that, you know, uh, that senior lull where they're like, oh, I just want to take some time off before I go to college, and I need, I want to hang with my friends, hang with my buddies, and then, you get your freshman that's comes in and he's 30 pounds overweight, and all of a sudden he's not
Oh,
going to
you
be
don't want
ready,
that to
right?
happen.
Like you said, you got 3 months until the college season.
Correct.
If
Yeah.
he's 30 pounds
Yeah.
overweight or he hasn't been training or hasn't been competing at a high
Yep.
level, it kind of takes that.
It's gonna take him 2 months to get in
Yeah.
shape.
So it eliminates a lot of the opportunity to evaluate and determine if the kid's ready to go in his freshman year. Now, I think that's avoided in most cases at the highest level in Division I, but you do have those cases every now and then.
Yeah, no, well, I think you're seeing it less and less because like you said, the coaches are having more of an idea of what their summer is looking like. Even if they're not seeing them full time for the summer, they're probably seeing them at least a couple times, and so they're knowing if their kid's getting out of shape or if they're overweight or what the deal is.
And those evaluations, I think, typically what a lot of coaches used to do is wait. They took a wait and see approach, and with the level of competition now and the number of freshman kids that are coming in and competing at a high level, I think the evaluation process, if the kid is ready to go or if he needs to redshirt, actually happens during his high school, the last half of his high school career, as opposed to the first half of his freshman year in college now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. I would, now obviously if you're a high level Division I coach, you're thinking about getting your best lineup in no matter what, if they're a freshman or not. Okay, so let's go. We talked about Fargo a little bit. I think Matt, you are going to Fargo, so we're going to be doing. I was thinking we'll probably be doing one live show from Fargo, and then I'm taking off right after the junior finals, so probably one more show after that.
Okay, so yeah, let's bring everybody up to speed. So you and I will be out there this weekend. We're going to be doing a live podcast, I believe, at the RUDIS store, the RUDIS tent across from the Fargo Dome, Monday morning, I believe 10 or 11.
We're doing the podcast from the tent?
Yeah.
How are we gonna get Wi-Fi? How are we gonna get Wi-Fi?
We've got our tech people, our IT people handling that for us. They're taking a mobile hotspot with us, I believe. So we should be able to do it.
We're gonna do it. Okay, well, I need to check this. I'm gonna literally.
Yeah, we got to work out the logistics,
right now,
but
Matt, I'm gonna check because I gotta coach. Because I gotta be in there coaching. Let's see, Monday morning. Hold on, I'm gonna go to it right now. So we're gonna tell everyone. Wednesday, July 17th. No, that's we want Monday, July 15th. The session is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. 9 to 12. 9 to 12:30 is the session, Matt. Okay. And then we have cadet finals. Oh my gosh, I don't think we're gonna go Monday morning. We need to do it after cadet finals.
Okay, so we'll
that ends at 4 p.m.
Okay, so we'll have to adjust the podcast, but we are doing a signing with you out there Monday, correct? Okay. Yeah, we're doing an autograph signing at the RUDIS tent. We just got to figure out the right time. We got to
maybe Sunday.
Okay, so all right. So we don't have our stuff together. We'll get it together in between now and Fargo. But I know this.
Well, it sounds like we, Matt, we could definitely podcast after. I mean, I think the best time would be after the cadet finals, which are from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Monday. We'll have a small gap before we start the junior freestyle session that night, so we can hit the podcast then. Okay. And then I think on Sunday
we will do an autograph signing at some point though. Because we're going to do an autograph signing with you. We will also have Isaiah Martinez will be out on Tuesday at Fargo for an autograph signing. We'd like to do a podcast with Isaiah. Talk to him a little bit about the past year, Final X, training camp, World Team Camp. He's been involved in that the last couple of weeks. So get his take on that. Give you an opportunity to get an autograph with Isaiah as well.
He had a great Final X series. I'll tell you.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked, Matt. There's a big gap, 1 to 4:30 on Sunday. I think that'd probably be the best time for a signing for me.
All right. So we'll keep everybody posted.
Sometime in there.
Check out social media.
Come over to the RUDIS tent.
Twitter, Instagram. Check on Ben's account, Isaiah's account. They should be posting stuff as well. So it is happening. When it's happening, we're not sure.
Yes, exactly. So the big thing that I wanted to get into today was this Kyle Dake situation. I think it's a disaster. I don't like it at all. I think I'm gonna give you all my thoughts up front, and then we can dissect them all. I think Kyle Dake was complaining a lot about how the champion got too much of an advantage a couple years back when it was Burroughs the champion and he was trying to challenge Burroughs. So man, I don't know. I'm frustrated with it. I think it's silly. I almost am frustrated that Kyle Dake had the audacity to even say, "Let me do this." Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
So articulate that a little bit better. I know where you're coming from. What
Okay.
specifically? Actually, let's go through. We should probably go
Kyle
through
Dake
the
said,
protocol.
okay, Kyle Dake said, okay, he said, I cannot wrestle in Final X.
Correct.
Final X is either June 8th or June 15th. I cannot wrestle in either one of those. What I need to have more time to prepare. Here is my doctor's note. He said there's a doctor's note that says he cannot wrestle prior to August 17th, Matt. Then he turns around a couple weeks later and says, no. I'm going to go wrestle a tournament in Spain on July 6th.
Yeah, so he got approval,
What?
right? Because I think you're allowed, being a returning world medalist, you're allowed an exemption based on injury or, anything outside of your control.
Yes.
So that's available for anybody. Correct. It's not just specifically for Kyle Dake. Like, he was well within his.
But for anybody.
Yeah, for anybody. Now, he said he couldn't compete until August. He had a doctor's note. And
August 17th specifically.
August 17th. And that got approved. Again, this didn't have anything to do with USA Wrestling, because I think USA Wrestling denied that request. And then it goes to not a court of arbitration, but a hearing committee within the USOC made up by USOC representatives and I believe a couple athletes, current athletes. And
so I know they said the names of the athletes, and for some reason I'm blanking. The only one I can remember right now is
I know Jordan is.
The athletes said no way.
Right.
All of the athletes said no way. It's ridiculous.
So,
but everyone else approved it, so it won 4-3.
So he won 4-3. He got the exemption to push the wrestle off until August 17th, and then now you can jump back in and talk about the second layer of this, with him wrestling in Spain.
Well, yeah. So then he comes back after it and says, well, wait, I want to wrestle in Spain on July 6th. And he goes and wrestles 5 matches in Spain on July 6th. So I think there's a bunch of things to tighten here, Matt. I think number one.
But I think he got another doctor's note for Spain, right?
Well, the first doctor's note looks like bullcrap, Matt, because how's the doctor going to be off by 6 weeks? I mean, if the dude says, hey, I mean, so he gave the doctor's note in the middle of June. Okay. And he says he won't be ready to wrestle till August 17th. That's 2 months later. So let's just say 8 weeks for easy math. In 8 weeks span, he's not ready to wrestle till week 8. I'm a doctor. I know that. And then all of a sudden he goes and wrestles in week 2. Like, that's 25% of the time. How do you heal 75% faster than you thought you were going to heal?
Well, obviously he didn't.
It's impossible. It's ridiculous.
Let's just call it like it is. Obviously he didn't. And so I think what's leaving a sour taste in everybody's mouth is he gamed the system, right? He got permission.
Yes.
I don't even know how to describe it. He got permission and went back and said, okay, I've got this exemption. Now I'm going to say I have to wrestle before that. Right? So, I mean, he totally.
Yeah. I don't like it at all because it's just totally non-transparent. It's like, I'm going to go tell you this one thing. And while I'm looking at you and telling you this, Matt, I'm going to be lying through my teeth because I know I'm going to turn around here in like a week. I mean, Matt, it was when he got the first doctor's note, it was 3 weeks from the Spain trip. How early do you got to plan to go international? I mean, I'm sure you're planning at least a week or two ahead of time, right?
Yeah, you don't just.
So he knows. You don't just buy a ticket 2 days ahead of time to go to Spain.
Yeah, you just don't jump on Expedia and say, hey, let's go scrap this weekend. Let's go to Spain and wrestle, right?
Oh, where do I want to go? Oh, Spain. That's good.
I mean, now let me say this.
Geez.
Now, I wouldn't necessarily have had a problem because he hasn't wrestled since the World Championships last year.
If he would have somehow came and said it right away, I want to delay. But I also want to wrestle in Spain. I would have been more okay with this, even though it's also totally outside protocol. I would have been more okay with it than if he says, well, I want to do this, and I'm not going to tell you about that, and then I want that too. I don't like that at all.
I'm with you. If he would have just said, and there's so many things. I mean, it's a loaded scenario. Number one, you're trying to make the world team. You're trying to make the world team
Yes.
as a returning gold medalist, but he's against the number 3 guy in the world. So it's not like he just anybody he's got to wrestle to make the team. He's got the number 3 guy in the world. So I get it that he would. I get it why he would say, I need a competition before my final wrestle off. I get that. And I would.
Okay, so here, I guess, let me tell you, Matt, the part that bugs me most about this is that August 17th is roughly 3.5 weeks before the World Championships starts. And obviously, I know they go for acclimation probably 10 days ahead of that. So you're going to go, I don't know, you're going to go, say, 10 days. So you probably got what, 2 weeks, 2 weeks-ish,
Max,
2.5 weeks
max.
maybe in between that time period, somewhere in there. Okay, so Kyle Dake wrestled in Spain 2 days ago. So realistically, he could wrestle this week. He could wrestle next week. He could wrestle in Fargo like Bo Nickel and a few other people are doing for their wrestle off. He was available to wrestle then. So instead, you're going to push it a whole nother month or 5 or 6 weeks back. And the whole time, Kyle Dake will be focusing on Alex Dieringer. Alex Dieringer will be focusing on Kyle Dake. And neither one of them is preparing on what they need to do to win a world title, because neither one of them can actually prepare for that until they go beat the other guy. Like if you're Kyle Dake and you're trying to skip scouting for Alex Dieringer and wrestling Alex Dieringer, you might lose to Alex Dieringer. Yeah. And if you're Alex Dieringer and you're worried about the Russian and not Kyle Dake, you might lose to Kyle Dake. Then who cares about preparing for the Russian?
I mean, it's not ideal for either guy. Either guy. I mean, when you're talking, and we'll bring people up to speed about like your training phases. When you're talking, once you reach a month in to your premier competition of the year, you're starting even a month out. You're starting to alter and taper your training just slightly. Right. So as these guys should be.
Well, I mean, and to get those looks, Matt, I mean, how many guys at that weight class are you saying this guy's a threat to me? Because I'm got to say, you're saying it's not just one.
It's got to be a handful, right?
2, 3, 4. It's a handful. So to get those looks, because you don't know, the bracket it's kind of seated. Well, for Kyle Dake, he's going to be unseated because he hasn't wrestled in anything. Correct?
I mean, he
hasn't wrestled in a tournament.
How's he still ranked number 1 though? But he hasn't
wrestled in tournament.
No, and he's got no ranking points from the UWW series. Although it was
he hasn't wrestled in one of them.
I mean, it's not.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is for both guys. Like, if you're a month out, you should be locked in. You should be focusing on your peaking phase, the last month of your training, and getting ready for that. Yeah. And instead, you've got to be at your peak to beat the number 1 or the number 3 guy in the world, depending on the position you take between Dake and Dieringer. And then you got to turn around and peak again in 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, and try and win a world title. And not only that, Ben.
You and I scouted this match, Matt. This is a tough match for both these guys. This is not, I mean, as good as Dake is, it's not a cakewalk. I mean, he just had a 7-5 match against the Turkmenistan guy who, he's good, but he's not like amazing.
Yeah. And
all right, hold on. Kyle Dake. I'm going to look it up right now. I'm almost there. Kyle Dake has 60 points. That must be in the World Championship, but he's tied with Hasanov, who has 60. The guy from Gazi Magomedov has 57, and then Yuzurbayev has 30. So I guess Hasanov and Gazi Magomedov could potentially pass him if they were to win. What do they have left? I think Dogu is at ranking strength, correct? Dogu. So they could potentially pass him if they're at Dogu. It doesn't appear that the third guy, Yuzurbayev, could pass him. So, yeah, I just think, man, I think this is ridiculous. I think they should be done earlier. I think once Kyle Dake, you know what I would have done, Matt, if I'm in charge? Sometimes I like put myself in charge and say, what would I do?
All right, you're Rich.
Kyle Dake comes to me.
You're Rich Bender at USA Wrestling.
Wait, is he in charge of this process? I don't know.
I think it's outside of his. It's outside of his control.
So if Kyle Dake comes to me and says, here's my doctor's note. I need a pass till August 17th. Say, okay. I can't argue with the doctor. You need a doctor's note. Fine, Kyle. It's no problem. Okay. But if you come back to me and then say, well, I'm going to wrestle July 6th, I'm going to say, wait, You can wrestle July 6th. Well, Kyle, we need to have this wrestle off like July 13th then or something. I mean, if you're ready, if you're coming back to me and tell me, hey, you know what? I'm actually ready. Then I'm going to say, let's go, Kyle. What are we waiting on?
No,
is that fair?
It's totally fair. It's totally fair because you just said you could compete. That's the thing I think what everybody's having a problem with. Like, no, you can compete. You were saying you couldn't, but obviously you could. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, they are, it's I can't even come up with, it's beyond, it's not disrespectful. I mean,
what do you think? Conniving? It's sneaky. I mean, it's sneaky that they didn't say anything in the first place. Because when they went to the thing with the first time, they had this plan. They had the plan to we're still going to wrestle July 6th. We're just not going to tell anyone we're wrestling July 6th.
And, I think there's not in this case. I was going to say specifically there's ramifications for next year, but this isn't an Olympic weight. Now, if you do, if you do medal, you get a bye to the semis. Is it
a bye? Yes.
So there is an advantage, exactly. not the advantage if you're at an Olympic weight, but placing it, medaling at this tournament. The other thing here is you got to place top 5 to qualify the weight for the Olympic Championship. So,
yeah. So why are we waiting on this? Let's go.
We should be going.
Get us a representative.
Yes. Now, this is a funny sidebar. We were texting about it yesterday, right? Or the day before. Like, he got his face busted up. So now is he going to ask for another exemption? Like, he got his, I don't know if he broke his nose or whatever, but I saw it as
it looked like he might have broke his nose.
It's pretty bad when you got to tape your nose, right? When you're just wrapping around
his nose all the way around his nose. Yeah.
So I know you and I were joking, like, oh, what does he file for an extension now that he can't compete on the August 17th? Yeah. But
it was ridiculous. So, man, I hope they. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed it and they said, hey, we're doing it 2 weeks earlier. We're doing it 3 weeks earlier. I'm not sad at all about that. I think that's something that they should really consider doing.
Now, this is a sidebar to that. And I just want your thought. And it's probably not even deeper than that. But, okay, so we have 2 Cornell athletes that are involved in a little bit of controversy. Right?
Why is Cornell always causing trouble?
I don't know. But do you think that this could have a negative impact on Yanni's appeal for a third match? Because I haven't heard anything. I did.
I wouldn't.
Because I talked to Rob Cole last week.
I would not assume so. I would have to think that. I mean, I would have to think that they keep them separate. I don't even know they're the same panels. Doing the test,
shouldn't be, but it's just kind of unique that we have one school. Kind of in 2 different scenarios, right? I think there's a lot of people probably rooting for Yanni or feeling that Yanni should get a wrestle off, and now they've split. And on the other side, there's a lot of people that are upset with the way that Dake has handled this situation. So, it's a divisive situation on either side. I think I've heard some rumors that they don't think Yanni's got a real shot at this. I don't know if you've heard anything.
Yeah, that's the feel I get is that they're not super confident.
Yeah. But that's probably.
That's
hopefully
sad. That's sad. I thought they could wrestle this weekend at Dogu, Matt.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Yanni and Zay could wrestle.
So we would
nothing. Apparently.
I mean, Yanni beats him. It's not like, oh, maybe we should rethink, the scenario. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that.
Yeah. Damn.
No, I respect it. I respect that Yanni and Zane both are like, hey, we got to prepare like we're going to be the guy, and we've got to go to Dogu and get our final preparations in. And so it seems like those guys aren't letting, the outside noise affect, what they have in their control, which is just their preparation and their training. That's the other unfortunate thing with Dieringer is that that's the other thing about this. Like, he's had his training disrupted intentionally. It appears intentionally 2 different times.
Yes, intentionally.
Right? Yeah. Because initially when you file for your first waiver to get an extension from Final X, I believe the talk was towards.
He did it like 3 days. The other thing, Matt, is he did it like 3 days ahead of time.
Yeah, so
when he could have done it freaking whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah, so he's taken.
I mean, if you know August 17th is the date that you're going to apply for, you don't figure that out on June 10th.
So he's kind of
figured it out way before that.
He's taking the preparation away from Dieringer, because I'm sure Dieringer heard the rumors like, okay, Dake's hurt, he's not going to wrestle at Final X, but you don't believe that until you hear it, right? So it's like, I got to keep training. I got to keep training for Final X.
Yes.
And then 3 days before, like,
yeah,
he could have reset his training cycle and got prepared differently, but he had to prepare all the way up to Final X, had to pause it, put it on pause. He probably thought, okay, it's going to be a month later, I'll resume training. And now they had to hit pause, and now he's got to acclimate, get ready. But he's going to be a Dogu, isn't he?
Oh, geez.
I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, correct. And I heard his interview last week with Flo. It doesn't seem like it's letting him. It's not rattling him. He wasn't crying sour grapes. He was like, "It is what it is. I'm dealing with it. What else can I do?"
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, but I don't like it at all. And I can say that as an outside spectator, I have no influence in the process whatsoever. I'd like it to be more straightforward. I don't like all the sneakiness.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
That's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the decisions. I just disagree with how they were led to make these decisions. It's not good.
100%. Matt, that was really the only hot button issue we had to talk about, and I think we talked about that dang thing for like 30 minutes. I think. So next week we'll be in Fargo. We'll have the cadet and junior freestyle. We'll have some wrestle offs. I believe Bo Nichols wrestling off, and then we would like to announce, I think, Matt, that you and I believe, in fact, we just decided we are going to go to the World Championships. We're going to cover that.
We will be there.
We'll put out some live podcasts. I checked. It's 11 hours ahead of us, so we'll probably be doing late night podcasts for America's morning,
which will be perfect.
If that makes sense.
We'll wake you up with good wrestling news.
You can wake up and listen to us talk about wrestling.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. That's all I got for you. I will see you in beautiful Fargo, North Dakota in about 4 days.
Sounds good, Ben. We'll see you.